Psychopathology of the Barbarian.
This is my somewhat satirical submission for the Get Barbaric challenge by Tales of Elsewhere. Howdy Pete, challenge accepted. Isn't it curious that we always explore power fantasies and what awesome and mighty things our rage-fueled barbarian sub-archetypes can do, instead of fleshing out the why of those destructive hissy fits of your character? Mental health is an important issue in a modern, sad and beautiful world, and role-playing can be an effective tool to take off the edges of our psychological needs. Especially the barbarian archetype allows for a playful approach to and awareness of deep-rooted mental issues. I want to introduce a system-agnostic game mechanic which you can add to each and every of your easily angered protagonists, even to those of non-barbaric conviction. While flavor is usually free in most RPG systems, you may with GM Fiat link barbarian psychopathologies to actual game mechanics. For those of you playing with resources to feed your rage, you can easily add a homebrew rule to recharge 1 rage per day point when showing your mental disorder in a non-combat scene, once per session. In my humble opinion, this is hardly breaking the game, while improving the dramaturgy of characters if applied in moderation. Well met, angry traveler. I am the warrior philosopher. Welcome to a fantastic pantheon of popular psychopathologies, Part 1. Disclaimer. Be aware of the unhealthy amount of bad puns in the following list. And yes, I should go to the penitentiary for this, but I am a punbarian at heart. Now let's view our favorite psychotic warrior archetype in fantasy through the lens of mental health.
The Fair Barbarian.
You are a compulsive vigilante, the very paragon of a goody two-shoes character who actually feels guilty after each fit of rage. You're triggered by injustice and senseless cruelty, while ironically bursting into fits of senseless cruelty and blind rage yourself. You probably have the folk hero background, rage flavor, a stern and disapproving look reserved for those nasty villains, peppered with occasional battle cries like "Honor above all" or "Vade retro satana." Psychopathology, chronic helper syndrome, pathologic altruism.
Special case, the Barbarian.
You're fixated on the protector role for a select few, usually the party and a couple of nice-looking NPCs, while having violent reservations towards odd-looking strangers. Always prepared to play the martyr for the party while awkwardly overprotecting your comrades. You're triggered by friends getting hurt and possible danger to the party. Probably a multiclass with cleric. Rage flavor, extra polite to members of the in-group with frequent inquiries of "Are you alright?" while grudgingly vengeful to the out-group. "You will regret hurting my friends." Special psychopathology, obsessive compulsive disorder or OCD, chronic helper syndrome with a spoonful of paranoia.
The Harebrained Barbarian.
You have an easily triggered personality with stupidity for a superpower. Perfect for those who want to roleplay the heck out of their intelligence dump stuff. If your charisma is low as well, self-neglect and a spoonful of inferiority complex can be thrown into the mix too. The quote, "Violence is the last resort of the inept," was invented for this specific barbarian psychopathology. You are triggered by situations and statements that aren't fully understood and or make your character feel stupid. You probably have cognitive characteristics fairly below average. Rage flavor, basically everything works as long as the rage is sufficiently moronic and hilarious. Psychopathology, mental retardation, intellectual disability or ID.
The Scare Barbarian.
You are the humanoid equivalent of a paranoid chihuahua on amphetamines. Certain nefarious forces are out there to get you, and basically everybody could be an undercover spy or assassin. Be vigilant. Always. The angsty poster child of the anger stems from fear crowd of psychologists. Be the specific terror of death itself, necrophobia, the irrational and disproportional fear of cheese, purophobia, or any racially, politically, or religiously biased bigotry. There are a lot of things to be fearful and angry about at the same time. You are triggered by perceived and actual threats, initiated by your favorite enemy or scare of choice. You're probably a multiclass with Ranger. Rage flavor? A cautious kind of calculated, cold-blooded rage mixed with frequent stereotypical outbursts such as "Only a dead fairy is a good fairy." You have no qualms to ruthlessly slaughter those who incite xenophobia within you. Psychopathology, phobias, paranoia, pathological prejudice.
Special case, the Grudge Bearer, or the Grudge-Barian.
They shall never hear the end of it. You're an arrogant collector of animosities, vendettas and grievances, who bears grudges for sport and revels in resentment. You actually have killing lists, and are allergic to compromise. You're triggered by having been wronged in the past, and possessing a never-ebbing thirst for vengeance. You're probably a multiclass with Assassin Rogue and or a Grumpy Dwarf. Rage flavor? You can help it, grinning eerily or laughing out loud when hurting the bearers of your ire. Special psychopathology, narcissistic injury.
The Bear-Barian.
Either a Jekyll and Hyde Barian in constant combat with its dark passenger, or a confused tribe of one, possessed by a multitude of spirits fighting for dominance. In a high magic setting, one may transmogrify into all kinds and sizes of monstrosities, while in more mundane environments, the transformation is merely psychological. The change of personality may even be caused by parasitic ghosts, the Share-Barian if you will, or by being infected by a zombie fungus. Choose a variant that fits the setting and world building of your GM best. Fun fact, the infectious curse suffered by a warehouse is called Hokusantropy. You know that now. You're triggered by the full moon, sleepwalking, animal pelts, pain, seances, or merely high blood pressure. You probably have a bushy monobrow above the peepers. Rage flavor? A significant change of character and or appearance while raging. Psychopathology can be magical, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder or MPD, infection by a sentient pathogen, or good old lycanthropy.
Special case, the Hair-Barian.
This is a fun one. You always change shape into a hairy monstrosity, similar to Bigfoot or Chewbacca, but your hair stays after changing back to your docile humanoid form. There's a chance to trip over your own beard and fur when not shaving after the last rage. You're triggered by the same things as a regular Bear-Barian. Rage flavor, a whirlwind of fur, fangs and fury. Special psychopathology, magical, spontaneous hirsutism.
The Boar-Barian.
You represent a quite unusual, almost pacifistic barbarian psychopathology and have your anger issues mostly under control. The rages are a melange of passive-aggressive behavior, doom and glooming, and a certain type of psychic vampirism, sucking every ounce of joy out of everyone. Beware of friendly fire with your powerful psychic AoE attacks. While not sporting significant rage damage benefits in combat, you rather sue lethargy, reducing the will to live along with the defensive capabilities of your victims. You're triggered by intimidating, aggressive or toxic positive behavior. Sometimes the mere desire to ruin someone's day may suffice as well. Rage flavor? Think of the glowing eyes of Colin Robinson in the show What We Do in the Shadows. Psychopathology, major depressive disorder or MDD, post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, bipolar disorder, the depressive phase.
Special case, the Stare-Barian.
Perfect for rhetorically challenged players. A mixture of the Boar-Barian's passive aggression with a fierce passion for the silent treatment. Depending on the magical level of your adventure, the result of said treatment may range from mere intimidation to the equivalent of a Medusa's petrifying gaze. Check with your GM for details and restrictions.
The Probarian
Includes yes men, sycophants, simps, zealots, fanatics, cultists, and basically everyone with an irresistible urge to follow orders by any kind of perceived authority, alpha animals, or idols. Triggered by any and every belittlement of or attack on their revered crush. Specific orders by the idolized figure or institution may induce violent outbursts as well. If multiclassed with Warlock, the idol may represent or replace the pact patron. Rage flavor probably waves a flag or wears a silly hat to show allegiance to their exclusive in-group. Psychopathology, Celebrity Obsession Disorder, or COD.
Applicates the Sparbarian.
You're a NPC, henchman, mook, hired muscle, minion or sidekick. You excel in being insignificant, cheap and easily replaceable. Just instantly come up with another Sparbarian if your character dies. HR teleports in immediate replacement 1 round after your demise. If your leaser has booked the premium package, of course. You may or may not have developed an unhealthy codependence with a choleric Bossbarian. See part 2 of the series Tribal X Edition. Triggered by contract, money, helpless, subservience, or blind obedience. Probably has a strange compulsion to wear red tunics. Rage flavor, half-hearted battle cries, interrupted by muttered complaints about those terrible working conditions. Or grudging niceties towards a person of authority. Special, level up options to become a choleric Bossbarian yourself or even a BBAG, aka the Lairbarian. Yeah, just add a ton of HP, damage or lair actions if you happen to play with those. Congrats, your character has become another GM asset out of your control. Time to make a new character. Psychopathology, Stockholm Syndrome, Imposter Syndrome, has very low self-esteem and shows symptoms of slave mentality. The next one is an unpaid advertisement.
The Iberian.
A Warforged barbarian designed in Siliconia by Apple Artificers. A tech flavor sleeve for all your barbarian desires. They come in colors and with 3 Thunderbolt ports. Send me stuff, Tim Cook. Triggered by electricity surges and insufficient debugging of the operating system. Rage flavor, theory phrases. Psychopathology, defective AI. Disclaimer. I mean no disrespect to anybody suffering from mental or physical disabilities. This role-playing supplement is designed to raise awareness to many unfortunate fellow humans afflicted with painful disorders and chronic diseases by imaginarily walking a few steps in their shoes. I hope I got your creative juices flowing when it comes to flesh out the barbarian of your role-playing dreams. I encourage you to pick up the torch and hit me with all your crazy concepts and puns that come to your glorious mind. Thanks for watching part 1 of my Get Barbaric series. The curious, daring and rotten among you are invited to check out part 2 at their own risk, which is probably a bad idea. Seriously, don't watch the second video. It isn't called Tribal X Edition for nothing. Fare thee well, angry traveler. May thy song always be sung, and thy adventures be aplenty. And don't forget, rage. Rage against the dying of the light.